Hi, I'm Roberta Boffo and I'm an artist. Welcome to my channel. Now, this is not something that I've done before on YouTube, and it is a little challenging for me because I can't quite get over the fact that I'm talking to a phone mentally. I'm a little camera shy, but as we've experienced an overflow of subscribers recently, and we just hit 50,000, so thank you so much for subscribing. I think this video is actually long overdue, and it would be really great if I could talk to my lovely people about my art, myself, the stories behind the pieces that I create, and my philosophy, and just talking to you. So here we are. I am Italian. I'm based in Italy, in the Veneto region, so the northeastern part of Italy, in the Treviso province, and specifically in the town of Motta di Livenza, which is where I was actually born. Then later on in life, I grew up in a neighboring town, a larger city, that's Oderzo, and I did university, so I went to Venice, and then from there on I studied Chinese. I continued my studies in China. And so I actually lived for about 15 years in Asia, between Beijing and Hong Kong. My husband and I, we just recently relocated to Italy, and since December of 2022, and now we're here for as long as forever goes. I grew up in a very artistic family. My mom and my dad had their own business. They used to make clothing, so they were in the fashion industry. And I remember being very little, was about 4 or 5 years old, and we lived in this nice house in the countryside, and I used to draw, it was all very colorful. And my mom and my dad would take these drawings and then sort of transfer them into clothing. Everything was handmade, and then they would just, so they would use my designs for the clothes, and then they would go and sell them off to their clientele. And I remember this specifically because it was amazing. So it was always very encouraging. I was always very encouraged when I was a kid to draw and being creative, and so that's a really precious memory of mine. And as I grew up, I continued to be artistic, even though my studies took me to sort of different field. And now I've been a professional full-time artist for quite a few years. It's been a really interesting journey, without which I wouldn't be where I am today. First of all, if you've never seen my work, then head to my channel and scroll through the videos, and you'll sort of get a general idea of what is it that I do. So I create with ink on paper, ink and pen, and it's abstract. There's a lot of dry brush, very flowy, intuitive mark making. I use a lot of stippling. Overall, sort of overlapped and really layered. The work and the practice expands across different series of works, which may have common elements. And all the work is monochromatic, is black and white, and I love that. I will get to that. I will get to why I don't use color. You often ask, oh, you could use a little bit of pink or red or whatever. Do you have one in yellow? And I don't. All my work is black and white. It's been like this since the very beginning. Yeah, that's it. So if you do head to the channel and scroll over the videos, you'll get a much better idea of much better than what I can actually articulate with my words. So please do that. The whole process around the symbols and then the motifs and the little gibberish that I do is it's intuitive. So it's very spontaneous, and it happens really quickly. So when I do it, when I'm actually drawing or painting all these little symbols, I am not actively thinking about them. I'm not thinking, okay, so I'm gonna do a little house here, and there's gonna be a little sailboat there, and no, it's more of a flow. So whatever comes to mind without thinking about it is what goes on the paper. And it's such a spontaneous, sort of instant process that I don't have the time to to think about what I'm going to draw next, because that if I do that, then it just it hurts the process, it disrupts the process, it slows the process down, sort of that that flow that is the constant and also the most important part of my process, the fact that I can just let go and I don't have to think about anything and it just happens. The reason I started this piece was because I wanted to sort of celebrate most of my techniques and elements in my art practice. This piece is called The World Behind Our Eyes, and it took about 3 weeks of work to make. I finished it around August to September of last year. It's all ink and pen on paper, and it's part of my evolution series. Hi, I'm Italian artist Roberta Boffo, and I'm a little crazy for texture. If you don't know, I really love details in my work. I love to layer up and really just take on very long journeys where I can, really explore my techniques and just sort of overlap and mix and combine and deprive contrast while creating new contrasts, and make everything smoother and calmer and very subtle and really sort of calm and silenced out. I think the drive and this sort of, I think the crave for texture is what really drives me and draws me to the work that I create. I like to use all these techniques to sort of really deprive contrast. So you'll see me here working on the background and kind of filling in all of these blank spaces. And I love doing that because it just feels like I'm filling something, like I'm feeding my soul. I don't know how else to explain it. It is so visually appealing for me, and it just makes me feel good seeing this. And I think this exact thing, like just being able to see these textures over and over and over again, it really is my place of comfort, and that's why it drives me to so much repetition in my work. And I just want to make this type of work over and over again until I won't be able anymore. I use different brushes and fine liners, pens in different thicknesses, whatever, to sort of, in combination to all these different techniques to create, all these different shades of gray. I mean, this part right here was just so satisfying. I mean, just look at that. Oh my God. And one question that you guys always have about my intuitive mark making is like, how does it happen? And there really isn't much to say, just that it is intuitive and spontaneous and it just comes to me naturally. So you have like, when I put hand to paper, really just everything just flows out, and it's not something that I think about. There isn't like some grand scheme involved. I have this reservoir, and it just I just channel out. You just open the gates and it floods out. That really is how it feels, and I can zone out and just really travel and wander to far away places, and I really find my peace in this way. And it's just wonderful work to create, really peaceful for me. So here's the piece. Ta-da!